Senator, Vice President, Democratic nominee for President. Who is Joe Biden?
I'm a proud Democrat, and I'll be proud to carry the banner of our party into the general election. So it's with great honor and humility I accept this nomination for President of the United States of America.
On August 20th, Joe Biden accepted the Democratic Party nomination to run against incumbent President Donald Trump. He served as the U.S. Senator from Delaware for more than 3 decades, chairing the Committee on Foreign Relations for several years and the Senate Judiciary Committee for 8 years. Biden also served as Vice President for 2 terms during the Obama administration. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. was born on November 20th, 1942 in Scranton, Pennsylvania. His family moved to Delaware when he was a young boy, and after graduating from law school in 1968, he joined a law firm in the city of Wilmington. He became active in the Democratic Party and was elected to the Newcastle City Council in 1970 and started his own law firm a year later. The Delaware Democratic Party urged Biden to run for the U.S. Senate against popular Republican incumbent J. Caleb Boggs in 1972. With his family's rigorous campaigning, Biden won the race, becoming the 5th youngest U.S. Senator in history. Around this time, however, a tragic car accident killed his wife and 1-year-old daughter and severely injured his 2 young sons. Biden was inconsolable, but his family encouraged him to honor his commitment to the people of Delaware, so he took the oath of office from his son's hospital room. Biden remarried in 1977 to Jill Jacobs. They had a daughter together named Ashley. Biden's foreign policy positions have included pushing for the limiting of arms sales to the former Soviet Union, promoting stability in the Balkans, calling for action to end the genocide in Darfur, and expanding NATO to include former Soviet bloc nations. Biden opposed the first Gulf War in the 1990s, but took a different stance during the second Gulf War in 2003.
The president's policy, as well as the surge, are not working.
Though he was critical of President George W. Bush's handling of the war, his claims that he opposed the invasion from the very moment it began are not true. Not only did Biden vote for the Iraq War, he strongly influenced Congress's decision to authorize the invasion in 2002. As chair of the Foreign Relations Committee in the Democrat-controlled Senate, he used his authority to choose the 18 witnesses for the Senate's Iraq hearings by selecting those with pro-war positions. He also oversaw the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Iraq as vice president in 2009, but the rushed departure created a power vacuum in the country, which then led to the formation of groups like Daesh. Biden's other foreign policy positions include wanting to better coordinate intelligence, law enforcement, and cyber infrastructures with Europe while closing foreign money loopholes. He wants to return to the Obama-era 2015 JCPOA deal with Iran, which eased sanctions on Tehran in exchange for limiting its nuclear production and cooperating with inspections. Meanwhile, Biden wants Israel to stop settlement activity in the occupied territories and give more aid to Gaza, but he also opposes the BDS movement. He backs a 2-state solution and plans to keep the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem, but doesn't support Israel's plans to annex the West Bank. Biden has called himself a Zionist and says his support for Israel is ironclad. And Biden also wants to invest more in NATO by deploying more troops to Eastern Europe as a deterrent for Russia. He also said that he wants to rejoin the Trans-Pacific Partnership negotiated under Obama, but says it needs to better serve American workers. Biden's 1994 crime bill, passed under Bill Clinton, has been widely criticized. Under the premise of cracking down on violent crime, the law called for an additional 100,000 police officers and extended the death penalty to 60 new crimes, including drug-related ones, which contributed to a wave of mass incarcerations that disproportionately affected minority communities. But the law, officially known as the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act, also had other elements. It included the Violence Against Women Act, which was passed with bipartisan support, and which changed the culture around sexual assault and domestic violence. The act also implemented an assault weapons ban and funding for background checks for firearms purchases. Biden now also supports smart gun technology that only fires with the owner's finger on the trigger. Biden sparred with Donald Trump during the second presidential debate over immigration.
Their kids were ripped from their arms and separated. And now they cannot find over 500 of sets of those parents, and those kids are alone. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. It's criminal. It's criminal.
They said, look at these cages. President Trump built them. And then it was determined they were built in 2014. That was him.
The cages were in fact built during the Obama administration and held many unaccompanied immigrant children from Central America. Children were also separated from their parents at the time, but just not at the same rate or as part of a formal systematic policy as is being done under the current administration. During his time as vice president, Biden helped increase deportations of illegal immigrants from Latin America, but he prioritized those with criminal records. He now says he supports a path to citizenship for children who arrived illegally with their parents, though he doesn't support decriminalizing illegal border crossings and wants to increase screening procedures at the border.
I won't traffic in fear and division. I won't fan the flames of hate. I'll seek to heal the racial wounds that have long plagued our country, not use them for political gain.
During the first presidential debate, Biden called President Trump a racist who uses dog whistle language. Biden served under the first black president in the U.S. and chose a woman of color, Kamala Harris, as his running mate. In the 1970s, Biden was a staunch opponent of mandatory busing as a method of school desegregation, which has been misconstrued by critics as being pro-segregation. Biden claims he supported voluntary busing and orderly integration. In terms of the COVID-19 pandemic, Biden wants to ramp up free testing and mandate wearing masks in public, and he wants to create new temporary hospitals with the help of the Defense Department. In terms of healthcare, he says he wants to expand the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, by creating a public option like Medicare, referring to his plan as Biden Care. Some controversies do face Biden. He's often come under fire for inappropriate contact and comments towards women. Recently, he told a group of young Haitian girls in Florida that he'd like to see them dancing when they're older, and women have spoken out against his behavior in the past. At least 8 women have alleged that Biden either touched them inappropriately or violated their personal space in ways that made them uncomfortable. Before leaving office, Obama awarded Biden with the highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, in 2017. This is Joe Biden's 3rd attempt to run for president. He ran in 1988, but dropped out of the primary after being accused of plagiarizing part of his speech. He ran again in 2008, but lost to Barack Obama, who later took him on as his running mate. If elected this time, Biden would be the 2nd Catholic president in U.S. history after John F. Kennedy. So, will the 3rd time be a charm for presidential hopeful Joe Biden?